sky's not blue.
Welcome back to the Cult House Podcast. I am your host, the scholar of spite and the Saturday Night Delight, Roger Riddell. Joining me today, he is the guitarist for Black Cross Hotel and the Atlas Moth, Marcus Eliopulos. How are you doing today, Marcus?
Good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. I think back before even the first Black Cross album came out, I had Sanford on here, and like it was back when y'all were still called Guest.
Yeah, we realized quickly that that was going to be kind of a problematic band name, but we thought it was. Also, we're like probably the most heavily booked band in the United States because we're look at any calendar and we're all over. There's guests everywhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it wasn't you know wasn't us though.
Yeah, I'd always I hadn't talked to y'all since then about like what exactly sparked the name change, but I figured it was probably some kind of reason like that. There's just too many bands with that name.
Yeah, I think it was we saw we saw it on the door of the empty bottle, and that's really what solidified it. We all rolled up and saw that, and it was just like, I think it was like, I think we played with like Sweet Cobra and Huntsman maybe, and then just, and since we were the first band on the bill too, just guessed at the bottom, and we were like, fuck, that doesn't even look like anyone else is playing. So yeah, that's when we figured we should really fix that problem before it gets stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like there's probably just like a ton of running jokes that are built in there too.
Oh yeah, and guest list and all that shit, right? Like there was just a like it felt clever for a minute, but then once we started doing it, it was just like, all right, this is going to be a problem. So we should fix this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and like even in the case of like if there's like a ton of other bands that were out there that were called Guest, then you run into the whole issue if you want to keep the name, you have to do goofy stuff to it. Like I remember there was that period of time where Ghost had to be called Ghost BC in the US. And then back when him first showed up here, they had to be called Her for a few years.
There were bands that were just sticking X at the end too. That's how Static X became Static X because we had the same management years and years ago, and I saw them when they were Static, and then there was some other band, and there was whatever an issue with the name, and then they became Static X. But yeah, there was like, I think like, I don't know. There were a handful of bands that were doing that same thing at around the same time, just like sticking an X at the end or whatever kind of crap you need to do to augment your name to not get sued.
Yeah. Yeah, then there was like that whole period of time where everyone was just sticking like numbers on their names too.
Yeah. Yep. Guest 182 didn't sound really cool, so we figured we'd just change the whole thing.
Yeah. So the new album Songs for Switches has been out for a bit now.
Yeah.
What was the recording process for that like? Because I know that just from like a listener perspective, the thing that sticks out to me a lot is that it sounds a lot more polished and the songs feel like a little bit catchier.
Yeah, so, the process was way different from the first record. The first record was, you know, a product of us just trying to see if we could even do this, right? Like we had started out and were like sending files back and forth over the internet, and because not all of us were in the same city, and we were just sort of like kind of, just trying to figure out if this was going to really be a thing. And then we got to the point where we had four songs put together, and then we tracked with Sanford, and then Sanford was like, "You need a bass player, and it should be me." So once he got on board, then we finished, four more tracks, and or however many more we did. I don't know. Who knows how many tracks are on that record? But we finished the record with Sanford on board, and then so we finally figured out the formula for what was going to work for us, and then this record was Um, once we had the ideas for demos and stuff, we had the luxury of everyone finally being in the same city, everyone being able to get in the same room and just sort of bang it out in a live room and really like kind of tighten everything up and get things the way we wanted them to be because a lot of times like a band that writes like that like will get stuff written and then once we start playing it live it changes a lot, so we had a lot of time to like kind of kick it around in the room. And then we also have the luxury of having Sanford own a studio and be an awesome engineer and recorder. So we were able to like track at our leisure at his place, which really lent itself to like us being able to get things the way we want it. And so we really had a lot more time this time to like get everything sussed out ahead of time, right? So to us, it feels like a way more cohesive and kind of more organic rock record than the first one did.
Yeah. No, I love that like all of your all's like other projects that you're involved in don't sound anything like this either. So it's like it just kind of stands on its own.
Yeah, we kind of like it's funny to like tell the story, but like we a lot of bands are like get everyone together and try to like give everyone free reign and see what comes out, and everyone has their ideas of what they want to do with the band. And this one from the start, Andrew and I pretty much were like, this is the square hole that everything has to go through to be a part of this band. Like we're gonna set parameters. We're gonna just make it, instead of being like a nebulous thing, we're just gonna be like it's this. And so, it's actually been kind of fun because I don't think any of us have been in a band like that before or written like that before. So it was really kind of fun to be like, okay, let's be in a band with like some parameters and let's see what what that does. And it kind of, it somehow made it easier, right? Like, I don't know, sometimes with more freedom and too many choices, you just kind of get like stuck in like without any guardrails, right? So like we actually had like an idea and it's sort of a concept, loose concept, but so it was kind of like I don't know, it lent itself to like make it a little bit easier and a little bit streamlined to be like, okay, it's this was what we're doing. So if it doesn't fit in this zone, get it the fuck out, right? So it was kind of a fun way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like how that's kind of played through with your all's merch too, where like you had the keychain tags for a while that were like the cheap motel like key fobs.
We thought that was an obvious like, funny hotel gag we could pull, right? And then like a cool like little cheap merch thing. So yeah, we try to lean into that shit pretty hard whenever we can, right?
Yeah, and I think there's like I think Andrew was telling me that none of the numbers were like duplicated either.
The first run of black ones that we did were we said we were just going to do one run of those, and like one to since we covered we are 138, we did 1 to 138 on that first run, and that was it for the black ones. We did a run of blue ones too, and I think excuse me, some of the numbers were jumbled up, but that run of black ones is the only one we're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've still got one of the black ones on my keychain, and I can't remember what number it is now. I think it might have been like 8 or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Or it might be 86.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
even. I'm
But
the lucky the holder of number one. And we were such cocky jackasses, right? Like we're making it like a collector's item. Like we're never gonna run this again, but like, whatever. It'll be a miracle if anyone even gives a shit anyways. But it was a fun little kitschy trinket we thought we'd pull off.
yeah. One of the other things too though, like even though the band sounds different than any of your all's other projects, it's funny because when I listen to albums that Sanford produces or mixes, there's things that jump out at me sometimes. And I forget what song it was offhand, but I was listening to the album again earlier and I was like, oh, that's like the guitar tone on this sounds like Assassin's era Nacht Mystic.
Yeah, totally. I'm sure he's got, he's got his own vibe of the way he likes uh guitars to sound, which is, jives with the way I like guitars to sound. So it's really easy to work with him tracking guitar stuff. We've had a lot of fun, just the two of us sitting around and like making racket and get a little booze in both of us. And we're like, what if we plug all these pedals into each other and get stupid with it? And like it's led to some fun racket. But yeah, I was actually his diesel amp that he's used on a lot of records really kind of inspired me to go that route too. I hadn't used one before, and that amp sounds really awesome. So I ended up getting one for myself, and it's been great.
Yeah, I was telling Stavros a few months ago too when the Motherless album came out. Like I was texting him as I was listening to it the first time. I was like, "Oh, vintage Sanford on this track."
Yeah, he's even though he's like good at being transparent, let a band do their thing, he also has like a, you know, kind of a little bit of a signature on a lot of the stuff that he does, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like every producer that has any sort of like name recognition kind of has those things though. Like I know when Rick Rubin, for example, did Metallica's Death Magnetic, as I was listening to that, the first couple of listens, I always thought that the mix sounded kind of like weird for a Metallica album. And I was like, oh, this sounds like it's kind of mixed the way that a Slayer album would be mixed. Like everything's kind of at those same levels in the mix.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, it's a, I don't know. I'm not a producer, so I can't speak for them, but like it feels like a catch 22, right? Like you want the band to sound like the band, but also sometimes the band hires you to sound like the records that you do. So there's a little bit of like a you want kind of the producer's stamp on it to a certain point. And sometimes, depending on how the producer works, like sometimes they want to make it sound like the way they want to make it, and sometimes they want to let you sound the way you want to sound. So, I guess it just kind of depends. Like I did a record with Dave Jordan years ago, which I thought was just like, it's fucking Dave Jordan, right? Like my guitars are gonna sound like God no matter what I do with them. And then we started tracking with him, and he was like, "Yeah, I've already done all that shit. I don't want to do that anymore." That's okay. But
Yeah.
it ended up being cool. But it was a interesting experience to walk into that and have him just be like, "Yeah, I don't want to do this record like I do all the other awesome sounding records that you love that you hired me about."
Like there's also just like the like eclectic producers where they've done so many different kinds of sounds where sometimes you can't like pinpoint one thing, but even then like there's still little signatures. And then I think it's always kind of disappointing when you hear about some people that are like held in really high regard where um people just have like experiences with them where it's like, oh yeah, they didn't really show up at all. Like I know there's been like that kind of talk about Rick Rubin in recent years too, and he's like the easiest example to just pull up out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah. I think it probably depends on the record and the band and the chemistry and all that shit, right? Like, I mean, if you, it depends on the guy too, I'm sure, right? Like, and where he is in his career and all that shit. Like, it's just going to be different for everybody. If he's got a boner for your record, he's probably going to stick around. And if he doesn't, maybe he doesn't, right? Like, some people have different, work ethics are different for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the like mini tour that y'all did after the record release? Like, how did that go?
It was fun. We did 6 dates with 5 of them were with Blood Lemon. And that was cool. They were cool to be out with, and it was the shows were fun. It's hard to get people to come to shows anymore, man.
Yeah.
Like that was the hard part about it, right? Is like getting people to come out. But the tour itself was fun. The shows were cool. The other bands were good to us. The clubs were cool. It was, it's just like it's hard to get people to come out.
Yeah. It's It's been kind of interesting going to shows the last few years, like ever since things opened up after the pandemic. Because I know the first few shows that I went to after that were packed because like people were just excited to get out again. But there's still also is this kind of hesitancy, and then I guess everyone now also has the uh additional like monetary pressure.
Right. I think, I don't know. I don't know how much of it has to do with the pandemic, probably some of it, but it just I'm old and this is gonna make me sound old, but like, you know, there was a point where if you wanted to see a band, the only way you could see the band was probably either a video on MTV or go to the show, right? Those are your only two options. Um, and now with you know YouTube and so many people filming shit with cell phone cameras and or just professionally filmed stuff that you can find on the internet, it's not you're not bound to be going to the show anymore. And then on top of that, then you have the pandemic, which just sort of got everybody in the mindset of like, well, if I don't have to leave my house, then fuck it, right? So like given all of that stuff together, I think it's just like, bands that are already doing well are doing well. But like bands, like you used to be able to be a mid or low, tier-ish, whatever that means band. But like you used to be able to like tour in a van and make enough money with people showing up and buying beer and door deals and merch that you could like at least break even or make a little money, right? And like now it seems like those opportunities are few and far between. I hear like bands talking all the time about like not being able to tour because they just can't fucking afford it. And it's really kind of a bummer, And maybe this is because I'm older too, and I don't, I'm guilty of it, but like there was a time back in the 1900s when like people would go to clubs. I'd go to clubs that I liked just because there's going to be bands and they'll probably be good, but I'll just go there to drink and hang out and I'll see bands. And I don't know that like that's really so much of a thing anymore. Like, and maybe it's, like I said, I don't do I don't do it as much as I did when I was like 22. But I don't know if like I don't it doesn't feel like that's really a thing. Like clubs can claim to have like a built-in crowd so much anymore. Like it just seems real specific to, bands and shows, but that might be me just being an old fucking codger too. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because like I was reading recently too, like there's just this whole thing where I guess younger generations aren't like going out and like hanging out like in real life anymore as much. And I think that feeds into what you were talking about. Because like I had like a whole like period of time too where like I used to just go out to drink just to go out to drink, and like now I'm just like, I need a good reason to actually go out tonight.
Right, right. And is that because is that the sign of the times, or is that because we're older, or is that like what, I mean, I'm probably older than you, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, um, yeah, I mean, and again, I'm gonna stop saying that I'm making myself sound old every time I talk, but like, yeah, when I was in my early 20s, like and I grew up in the suburbs. Like that's what we did. Like where are we gonna go tonight and go drink and watch bands and fucking meet people and get into trouble? Like that's what we did every night. And because that's all there was to do, right? And now like you've got awesome shit to do on your couch all the time and you can see the same bands and like you want to watch a fucking live stream of a bunch of people in a club drinking and partying, you can do that too. And like, I mean, I guess if that makes you feel good, then go for it. But, I don't know. It's like, oh, and I'm not neck knocking like technology and progress, and that's all fucking great. But like, also like just the like, um, it just seems like people aren't, uh, going out and like just seeing what kind of fucking shit you can get yourself into tonight. Like, I don't know if that's like still a thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because I can remember when there were a lot more like 4 a.m. bars in the city. Like I used to go out with like Eddie Gobo, and we would be out till like 4 a.m. sometimes, and like we wouldn't get into like 5 or 6 a.m., but it was just like seeing what all was going on in like half a dozen different bars. Sometimes there were shows going on, we pop into those. Sometimes it was just like, uh, yeah, this bar is cool. We'll just pop in here because we like it. You know, like the Exit was one of those bars when it was still around. Like it was just like the 4 a.m. bar that, oh, all the other bars that we like are closed. We're just gonna roll in here.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times like, I started playing shows in the city when I lived in the burbs, and I'd like we started playing shows in the city when I was like 17. And then like once we figured out we could like come to the city and drink at the places that we played, then we were just in the city all the time. And I can't tell you how many times we would just like come down here and go to one of those clubs and like watch whatever the fuck was playing and get super drunk and then stay till 2 or 3 in the morning and then find some place that was open for food and sober up and then drive back to the burbs and then do the same thing the next day. Like that's what we did all the time. We were either like playing shows down here in the city or driving to the city to fuck around.
Yeah, like it also just kind of feels like you don't like pop into bars as much anymore and just see like where they've got as many of just like their regulars. Like that's one of the things that I like a lot about Andrew and Renee's bars that I can pop in there and like there's people there that like they're regulars there, like they come in there often, you know?
Yeah, I miss that too. I've always been like a neighborhood regular bar kind of guy, and like I don't really, there's nothing like within stumbling distance of my place right now, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah, I've met a lot of people that way, and like I lived in California for a little while, and when I moved back here, like that was kind of my plan to like make friends, was just to hang out at the neighborhood bar long enough till I fucking knew everybody there. And like that's exactly what I did, right? And that was
Yeah.
man, that was the Intertown pub for me back in 2004.
I was also just kind of thinking the other day, with you joining the Atlas Moth, now you've got like two different bands that you're in with your brother-in-law. So how is that working out?
It's great. It's really great. Like yeah, it's funny. I had subbed for him in Atlas Moth years ago when he had hip surgery. And so then just being friends with him and hanging out with my sister and whatever, I've known those guys for a long time now. And and then when the pandemic hit and nobody was really doing anything, Andrew and Mike were really sort of like chomping at the bit to do something, right? And Andrew and I had like mentioned like, we've known each other for like 20 years. Why haven't we done anything before? So we finally just thought we should like try and start a thing on the side and like see where it goes. And like, but yeah, it's been great. Like, it's we get along really well. We've known each other for almost fucking 30 years by now. Um, and yeah, it's really cool. Like, it's great. Um, yeah, nothing, nothing but good things to say.
Yeah. I Andrew's one of my favorite people and so is Renee. But I remember when he had that hip issue going on and like I forget what bar it was that he was in at the time. But this was like back in 2014-ish, I think. I was here visiting because I was still living in DC at the time. And I, went in there to visit while he was bartending because I'd come up here just to see everyone. And um, just kind of looked like he was in pain, just like kind of limping around a lot. So it's cool seeing that like he gets around like great now.
Yeah, it's awesome. He had a bunch of trouble, and then he's actually had two double hip replacements, which is insane. But like, yeah, the first one didn't really solve his problems, or it just kind of like wasn't great. And then Renee like kind of like was like, nope. And then they started looking for a new doctor, and yeah, it's great though. Like he's doing great, and like seems like it like totally changed everything for him, which is awesome.
Yeah, I remember back when he was going through all that, I used to joke around with him and call him Mick Mars.
Put him on a broomstick and wheel him out on a cart, right? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I know that you've basically at this point replaced Dave in the Atlas Moth. what was the process of that like? Because I know that the whole thing with Dave kind of started during the pandemic, and I like him a lot, so I don't want to throw him under the bus. And I know that it was just kind of like a difference of it. It wasn't like anything that was like a big blow up with anyone. It's just kind of like an amicable like splitting, you know?
Yeah, I love Dave too. Like, and we all do. Like, and it's still his gig to have if he wants it. But I think it seems like he doesn't, right? Like he's got his own things going on. I don't want to speak for him, but like, he knows how to get a hold of everybody if he wants to, and like no one's really got anything bad to say about Dave. He's just doing his own thing, and that's awesome. And we all wish him well. And um, Dave, if you're listening, love you, dude. You could come back at any point and like you boot me the fuck out. But yeah, it was they were talking about, they had kind of been on a hiatus for a while, and they were talking about doing stuff, and then Stavros got the call about that Prepare the Ground show in Toronto, and so he was just kind of like, man, this is like seems like a worthwhile thing to do and a good time to do it, and they just kind of asked me if I wanted to do it, and I did. I love all those dudes. I like the music. It's fun to play, and um, so yeah, I was honored and happy to do it. And it was funny to learn that stuff because I already knew all of the ache stuff, but like from Andrew's point of view. So I had to learn all of the other guitar parts and the other stuff, which was interesting for me because some of my brain wanted to pull some of that stuff that I remembered from the tracks, but I had to like not, you know, not do that. So but it was cool. It was nice. It was cool that they asked, and we did a short run, excuse me, earlier this year, and it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. Um, those dudes are all great. Like it was really easy and cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like the perfect gig too, because you're like right in the right vocal range to replace Dave too.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah, it's not, he didn't hit anything super challenging for me. He's got a great like growl though that I can't do, which is kind of like pisses me off because I could like vocal like range wise, yeah, he's not like all over the place, but like he's got a cool quality to his voice that I can't really, replicate. But I just kind of, I do what I can. And like they weren't, I was like, hey, I'm not Dave, you guys. And they were like, yeah, we know, it's fine. Like, you don't have to like try and be in a cover band, right? Like just do your own thing and then, and see where it goes. But like it's challenging. Dave is a very talented dude, and like he did a lot of like insane stuff on guitar while he was also singing. So it's like really kind of like a lot to do, even though, he's not doing vocal acrobatics or guitar acrobatics much, but like a lot of the things that he did to at the same time are like weird rhythms and like intricate parts that are made more complicated by vocal parts going on at the same time. So it's a cool, it's an awesome challenge for me. Like it's really fun. It's a little out of my wheelhouse. So like it's been cool to like go through that stuff and pick it apart and learn it and try and be able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like I think the thing that I always think about is just like at least you don't have the task of having to do Stavros's vocals because he's got like that Danny Filth like shrieking kind of thing going on.
I can't even do
Yeah.
that. Like I can't even like hang with that. Like it's good that that's his zone, and I'll stick to the Dave stuff. And yeah, like I can't even hang with that.
Yeah, like I've never been able to figure out how those vocals work because like just that like high octave range, I don't understand it. Like just how do you do that without frying your vocals after like a year or two, you know?
I know, and he can do that for like a whole run of dates, right? Like it's I don't it's a, some I think it's just like a vocal quality that you have or you don't, right? And I do not have it. I couldn't even do it for one show or even a song. Like I don't have that whatever that is. Like it's not in my throat.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can like comfortably do like a Peter Steele and like some like mid-range like growly stuff, but like
Yeah,
that is just like way too high up there.
yeah. I
Like the
can
Rob Halford of like screaming.
totally, totally. That yeah, I can make my way through the Dave stuff. And fortunately, Dave is like a pretty, consistent range that I can sit in. But like, yeah, I can't do any of that stuff that Stavros does.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's interesting too though, that between the two of you, like even though there's that vocal difference and even though he does like the extreme like shrieking kind of thing, it's interesting always to kind of look at it from the standpoint that even the shrieking stuff is like in key. Like I think that
Yeah.
that's kind of a thing that people overlook is just like the ability not just to like sing in key like with clean vocals, but to also like shriek in key.
Yeah, and not sound just like a bunch of screechy nonsense, right? Like there's definitely like a talent to like reining that in and making it work, right? Like, because anyone can probably just fucking wail and make noise, right? But like to be able to like do it and make it make sense and like be melodic and like have a point is like is a whole thing that I've like I find amazing when people can actually pull it off.
Yeah. So I know one of the things that we've talked about before at Kite String, briefly was that you had toured with Kiss at one point. So I figured this was probably timely with their whole thing at the White House the other day. But um, what stands out to you from that period? Because I think if I remember correctly, I can't remember if you were touring with them because Stabbing Westward was opening for them, or if you were like a tech on the tour.
No, I was stabbing did we did 9 dates with them on their first tour with the makeup back, which was like in 96.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was fucking bonkers, man. Like it was weird. It was it was cool and I'm glad we did it. But it was a weird fucking experience, man. Like that there's just such a big machine, to be part of that whole thing was a cool thing to see for me. I was 22 years old. And to like see a tour on that level at that age was like just fucking blew my mind. Um, it was fun to play on that stage every night. What was amazing to me was that every night, we're the opening band. We had no illusions about what we were doing. Everyone's there to see Kiss. No one has seen Kiss in makeup for fucking a million years, right? No one's interested in us. We're like playing while people are getting beers and getting to their seats, right? We were, but there was always one fucking guy every night in the first 4 rows who was furious that we were playing or that anybody but Kiss was playing, right? Because he had been a Kiss fan for a million years and he bought tickets the fucking day they went on sale. And then he came to the show and he got real drunk in the parking lot. And now he's inside. And some opening band has the fucking balls to be playing on stage before Kiss. And that guy had to let us have it every night. And every fucking night, our singer would be like, "Hey, man, you're going to get thrown out. Like, don't do this." Fuck you and spitting at us and fucking whatever. And it's obviously a different guy in a different city every night, but it's the same dude, right? It's this fucking guy with a mullet and a fucking Kiss t-shirt, and he's fucking mad and he's just yelling at us. And every night that guy got fucking kicked out. And we just feel like, man, you just ruined like this Kiss show that you've been waiting for forever for yourself. We warned you even from the stage. We told you to stop it. And like security would eventually grab that guy and like chuck him every night. And we're just like, dude, what a bummer for you, dude. Like you got super wasted before the show and got kicked out during the pussy opening band, and now you don't get to see Kiss.
It's like the same variety of dude that yells play some Skinner at just like random shows, and then you turn around and look at him. He's like, I'm not crazy, I'm just wild.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That guy talked so much shit about how awesome it was going to be at that show, and then just got fucking thrown out because he was assaulting the opening band. Our set was like 20 minutes. It's like, dude, just chill. You know there's going to be an opening band and you know they're going to suck. Like, you know you're going to hate us. That's fine. Just hate us for 20 minutes and then watch your favorite fucking band play 2 hours of Kiss music. Like, what are you doing? There's always one guy. It was one guy and it was every night.
Yeah. You know, it's like I've never really understood that either because it's like I've been to back when they were still doing the Ozfest, like I my main like reason for going to that, aside from the fact that there was always going to be like half a dozen other bands I want to see anyways, was always like Ozzy or Sabbath. But, like just because
Right.
there's a few bands on the second stage that I wasn't really into, like I'm not going to go out of my way to heckle them. And like the three times that I've seen like Metallica or whatever, like I'm there for Metallica, but I
Yeah.
wasn't really into some of the opening bands the last time around, but like I was still gonna like listen to them. I'm like I'm here, so I'm at least gonna listen to what they have to offer and see if they can change my mind.
Right. I guess if you're playing a show that big, there are going to be a bunch of people who are there who like don't know how to be at a show, right? Like it's all like it always blows my mind. You go to the airport and like the security makes you take off your shoes, and somebody's like, "What? Take off my shoes?" You know, just like, dude, have you not fucking done this before? You know, like
Yeah.
I know there's going to be at least you know a handful of people at a show, I guess, who like go to see Metallica and they're like, why is this other fucking band playing? I came to see Metallica. Dude, every show has more than one band. What are you talking about? You know, like there's always those people that just like don't know what the fuck they're doing wherever, if you get 20,000 people in an arena, at least 200 of them are so just wildly stupid that they don't even know that how this whole thing works, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like that's especially with that airport example, like I always think of that as just being like this affliction that suddenly hits people where it's just like they have this sudden sense of like where am I? Like I have that when I get on the L sometimes too, where there's people that walk on and they stand right in the entryway and they look around like they've never been on a train before.
Yeah. And those people a lot of times will just stay in the doorway and then look at you like an asshole when you're trying to get on the train, an empty train, and there's two people in the doorway and you have to sandwich your way past them even though there's nobody else around. But anyways, that's my soapbox CTA rant.
Yeah. No, I think just one other thing with Stabbing Westward is that I remember uh when I first learned that you had been in that band and I was talking to you at like Kitestring maybe like a year or two ago. The thing that I also was just kind of in awe about was like, oh, you guys are on like the Mortal Kombat soundtrack, and you're like, yeah, but it wasn't the good Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah, this was before I was in the band, but they had a track record of giving the wrong answer to whether or not they wanted to be on the soundtrack. So Mortal Kombat asked um if they could put songs or I forget exactly how it went, but so there are no Stabbing Westward songs on the actual soundtrack, but in the score there are a ton of chunks of the Ungot record. So and that soundtrack obviously went like multi-platinum, right?
Oh yeah, so it was the first movie's soundtrack.
Yeah, it was the very first one. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next thing that came up was Johnny Mnemonic. And they had gotten burned so hard on the Mortal Kombat soundtrack that they were like, okay, we're going to say yes to whatever happens next. And there was Johnny Mnemonic. And so Columbia did a whole promo thing um, with like a video that had like clips from Johnny Mnemonic and like all this press and like fucking whatever. And then that movie was like a huge flop and that soundtrack sold nothing. And so then they said, all right, we're going back to no. And then the next thing that came up was the Bad Boys soundtrack. And they said no to that. And that one went multi-platinum. And like it was just a bunch of shit like that. After I was in the band, we did a couple that did okay, but like nothing like for those first couple. We did the Spawn soundtrack, um, which did okay, but like nothing crazy. But we did get to go to the premiere of the Spawn movie, which was pretty fucking fun. And
Yeah.
I had one of my best, most embarrassing, but kind of not really moments. Um, we we pulled up in the press. There's the press line, right? And everyone's doing the whole at the Chinese theater in LA doing photos and whatever. And so we were in the line of cars to come and drop people off on the red carpet and walk up. We got to do that whole thing. And couple of people in the band were like, man, this is kind of bullshit. Like, we feel stupid doing this. And then a couple of the other of us, and especially me, was like, this is fucking awesome. And I'm going to strut my shit on the red carpet because when the fuck else is this ever going to happen? Right. And so the car pulled up, door opens, I get out, and I'm just like, fucking see you guys later. And I get out and I just walk as I do my as badass of a fucking strut as I think I can muster, like up the red carpet. And there's all these flash bulbs and yelling, and I'm just like, ah. And then I sort of like come out of my stupid idiot daze and I hear all the yelling is people going, get the fuck out of the way. Out of the way. And I look at them, and then I look to my left, and like all of the stars of the movie are there, and they're all getting their pictures taken together. And I just strutted right in front of all of it and like ruined all the photographs. Yeah, that was my debut on the red carpet.
Yeah. I mean, that was a pretty good soundtrack overall though. Like I remember that had up until like the first like Manson Greatest Hits album, that was the only way you could get like Long Hard Road Out of Hell.
Yeah,
Um,
there were some cool tracks on that record, and it was a cool idea too, right? Like pit a rock band with a DJ and like see, kind of what comes out. Like there was some cool shit on that record.
yeah. I mean, I think that the soundtrack probably aged better than the movie did. And I say that with all due respect to Todd McFarlane, because I've interviewed him a few times and he's, been pretty cool to me over the years. But um, yeah, I think that the visual effects in that movie at the time looked good then, but they haven't aged well. And I think the story is just a little bit all over the place.
I should watch it. I honestly haven't. I saw it in the theater that night, and I haven't seen it since.
Oh, John Leguizamo is the best part of it as the Violator.
I do remember him being like the highlight of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had that weird run of like 90s movies where he did that like right after I think it was only like a movie or two after he did the Mario Brothers movie where it was like a weird like Dune version of Mario.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny. He like when he just sort of like exploded immediately, right? Like he was like nobody, and then he was like John Leguizamo, and he was in everything. And I was like, kind of like, I don't fucking even like this guy. And then like I don't remember what he did, but he did something to win me over, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was. But then I was like, all right, I think this guy's pretty cool. This is a dumb story because I don't remember what it was, but he did something around then that just like I thought was really fucking great. And fuck if I can remember what it was.
Yeah. No, the thing that I like about that dude is that he's got like a pretty decent sense of humility about some of the stuff that he's done where he'll look back at it and he'll be like, yeah, that wasn't as good as it could have been, but it was fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
like with the Mario Brothers movie, though, I've always heard that that was a nightmare for the cast because there was just like, um, I think that would probably take like a half an hour to explain, but basically it started out as one thing when the cast signed on, and then by the time that they like switched directors, and then the directors turned it into like this weird like Dune, but with fungus in like a world underneath the ground, and yeah, so like the actors show up and it's like an entirely different movie, and then I guess the new directors were like a husband and wife team that uh were like rude to everyone that was in the cast. So
I
it just
got it.
sounded
I
like a
got it.
nightmare.
Yeah, I gotta imagine that happens all the time too with Hollywood shit like that, right? Like, I've heard from friends who have like done some things like that, and it's just like, yeah, like there's a concept, and then you start working on it, and then the concept changes a little, and then you're like, all right, well, it's still this, and then by the time it gets like filtered down and run through things, and people leave, and other people get on board, and then it's just like. it's not where it even started to begin with. But
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like that probably translates to other parts of entertainment though. Like as good as like Black Sabbath's Volume 4 is, I can't imagine that it was probably fun producing a bunch of guys who spent like 250 grand on cocaine during the making of that album.
yeah, it's got to be like herding cats on cocaine, right? Like a bunch of coked out cats. I
Yeah.
can't even some of the stories of that kind of shit is just fucking blows my mind. Of after doing a couple records and like not having had a band with a cocaine problem, I can't even like imagine everybody just like fucking super jacked and like obnoxious, right? Like and being like the biggest band in the world also, and just being like, we can do whatever the fuck we want, like it's got to be like a fucking nightmare working with in that sort of like situation, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess the closest approximation to either of us is like Sanford being part of a band that had a heroin problem and a habit of snatching defeat from the jaws of success. So,
Right. Yes.
but yeah, so the one other thing that I just thought of with the Kiss tour, with them putting their makeup back on at that time, that was also with Ace and Peter, right?
Yeah, it was the original four guys, yeah.
Do you have any like memories of Ace from that tour?
Um, we didn't really get to meet them because they were sober and we were not. So the only room in the whole arena that had any alcohol in it was our dressing room. So it was weird, and we were like sequestered the whole time. I mean, we were like the opening band, and we didn't have they didn't give us all access passes. Like there were places in the arena that we couldn't go, which I thought was really bizarre. But if you're fucking Kiss, then I get it, I guess, right? Um, but I do remember Ace every every show. I swear, like we'd find him in the hall, and he was like closer to our dressing room every night until the last night I think the last show was in Vancouver, and he was just like sitting on road cases outside of our dressing room. It was like that's where like I mean, I'm not talking shit about Ace, but like he was like getting closer and closer every night to the only room that had booze in it.
Yeah.
Also, being that only room was pretty funny. We played in Los Angeles a couple of nights at the Forum, and like it was weird to our they had a like a meet and greet room for celebrities, right? And it was right across the hall from our dressing room. And somebody at some point let them in on the fact that like because there was no booze in the celebrity meet and greet room. So the literally only place you could get alcohol was our dressing room. And so like we'd be like sitting there like getting ready to play or whatever, and like fucking Tom Arnold kept coming in and being like, "Hey guys, can I get a beer?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Tom Arnold, have a beer. Fucking random celebrities were like sticking their heads in like, "We heard there was beer in this room," and we're like, "Well, I mean, yeah, kind of like, okay, whoever, like, here's another beer." But yeah, it was the whole thing was like the fucking crazy circus, and we knew it would be, but like, if you're gonna have the opportunity to have your name, slapped on that, like, fuck yeah, right? Like, get your band as part of that whole press circus and fucking see what happens. I mean, our record sales went up in every city consistently after every show every time, which is what you want, right? So, I mean, it was good for us, and also it was just a fucking weird, fun juggernaut for like 2 weeks, right? Like it was great.
Yeah. It's just it's always kind of weird like hearing those kinds of stories, like the juxtaposition of that versus like when I've heard Henry Rollins talk about when Rollins band opened for Ozzy and like Ozzy pops in every night and he's just like asking them how they're all doing and then uh basically sharing with them that he's afraid no one's going to show up for him that night. And it's just like the different levels of access that that opening acts have to different like high level like main acts.
Yeah, we did a handful of tours that year that were kind of like that. We did the whole US Depeche Mode tour that year, which was awesome. And they were way more accessible to us, except for Dave Gahn, which he was sober and had a sponsor and was like trying to keep his shit together, which was great. But like we hung out with Martin a bunch of times, and Fletch was around for a few of those, and like Martin would come and like sit at a bar with us, which was really fucking cool. And it was amazing to see the fucking level of fandom of people for that guy. Like, and he's a fucking super sweet dude and was great to hang out with and they were great to us. Their crew was fucking awesome. All those people were great. Um, but like we were like, I remember sitting at my my favorite bar in New Orleans is a place called the Blacksmith, and we were sitting outside. There's like an outside area, and on the sidewalk there's like a big like wrought iron fence, so you can see who's sitting, inside drinking, and like people would walk by and like see Martin Gore sitting out there, and we're all like kind of just sitting at a big ass table, and like kids would just like be like shouting and crying, and like it was amazing. And like during those shows I saw 33 shows in a row, and like just grown people just like weeping during their set. It was just like it was pretty amazing, like to see that level of like to see how much that band affected people, right? Like it was really fucking cool. Um so yeah, Depeche Mode, but it was way different than Kiss. We also did a handful of dates with the Sex Pistols, and that was interesting. Uh,
Was
the
that
first
with John Lydon?
Yes. It was the original lineup with uh fuck, what's the bass player's name? Oh Jesus. I'm failing on this right now. They had the guy who was playing bass with them before Sid Vicious joined the band, Glenn Matlock, that's his name.
Yeah.
So it was the original Sex Pistols lineup. And it was funny. The first date was in Red Rocks. Um, and Lydon I saw him walk around backstage a little bit, and he had like five big ass security dudes around him. And we did 2 weeks of their tour. And a couple of days later, I saw him walk through, and he had like two security guards with him. And then like a couple of days after that, he had like one guy walking around with him, and he was walking around a little more. And then a couple of days after that, he was just walking around by himself. Like no one, no, no one's gonna harass you, dude. Like no one. It's cool that you guys are doing this, but and the rest of the band was cool. They were around and accessible, and it was really another really very surreal but cool tour. And I couldn't believe they took us out. Right, like we were a weird choice for them. They took us out, and Gravity Kills. Like one of them must have had a thing for industrial bands of the 90s, or somebody owed somebody a favor or whatever. But again, like Sex Pistols want to take us out, absolutely, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember like Gravity Kills is like another Mortal Kombat soundtrack band.
Yeah, yeah. I think they made better choices than we did, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I just like real quick on that soundtrack, like I know that that's like one of the first things that blew up for Typo Negative too, with them having Blood and Fire on there.
It did really well for a lot of bands, right? Like it
Yeah.
would have been a real good decision to have been on that soundtrack, but for whatever reason, I was before me, so I don't know what the reasoning was, but they said no.
Yeah. What's coming up in the new year with Black Cross Hotel?
We are just now talking about getting demos together and trying to start writing again. We've got a whole bunch of extra stuff that we wrote for the last record and stuff that we had written for the first record, and I mean we've really got like a whole bank of stuff to draw from demo wise, and everyone's just kind of like writing new shit all the time anyways. So We're gonna keep going and you know write a new record. Hopefully, it won't take 3 years to get the next one out. But everybody's busy and got their, we're all like, this started off as like a side project for all of us. So like everyone's got jobs and kids and a bar and a studio and all that shit to deal with. So like getting 5 people to be able to like do shit together, it's actually, given everyone's responsibilities, we're actually like pretty good about being able to get together, when we need to, at least like once a week, which is pretty remarkable for 5 adult people with 5 different sets of responsibilities. But it's good. So yeah, we're planning on writing. We're looking at doing some more shows in March right now. So there will be some more uh tour dates hopefully on the horizon, and yeah, whatever
Yeah.
else we fucking shoehorn in there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always just speaking of like everyone having all those responsibilities. I'm always amazed with like Mike's ability to juggle everything because like he's got a kid now. He's also like a general manager at Dark Matter, and then
Yeah,
he's like passed around between like 5 different bands, I think.
he's in 150 bands. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, it's amazing that he's got a newborn, and like he, just like that guy's like always juggling shit. But he and his wife have been together for since high school, I think. And so like they have a thing worked out that works really well, and it's cool. And it's fun. She'll bring, like, we've played the bottle a couple of times, and she'll bring his son Tony over there, and he'll like hang out in the club and like during sound check. It's pretty cute. But yeah, it's good. Yeah, he's a busy dude.
yeah. And I know Stavros has been talking about new Atlas Moth. Are you going to be part of the writing process for that?
That's the plan. Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to Stavros a bunch about it when we were on the road in the summer, just like getting a feel for what their writing process is and how he wrote lyrics with Dave, and like just kind of, like sort of getting prepped for jumping into that with those guys. So I'm kind of looking forward to that too. Like I said, like, it's a little the band in general is a little like out of my wheelhouse, but it's cool, and it's like a good challenge. I'm looking forward to writing with them, and seeing how that goes. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've had you for about an hour now. I don't want to take up your whole evening, but is there anything else that you want to put out there before we end this?
Oh no, I think that's it. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
More of you, more.